I have a story to tell you. So, this morning I was dealing with being pent up in the house, cooped up because of where I live. It's been rainy and cloudy. And so I decided to go for a walk. And I took one of my sons for a walk. And we live about 2 miles away from the beach. And I want to show you how we were rewarded. We get down to the beach and look at what we saw. This is a panoramic view about 2 miles away from my house. And I stood there and it took my breath away. The water was like glass, clouds reflecting off the water. And my son and I were just mesmerized by the stillness of the day, the crispness in the air, and just the stunning beauty on the ocean. And so as we were enjoying ourselves there, first I took a selfie, just proclaiming that I didn't care, that I didn't have any makeup on, and that I am fully embracing the fact that my hair is graying and dealing with my new spectacles, which are transition lenses. So in the picture, you can see I don't have my glasses on because I'm not used to sunglasses. And so it was tripping me out that I couldn't see. So here we are on the beach and we're just enjoying the morning and we're getting ready to go. And I say, you know what, before we leave, why don't we find a cool rock? This is our first walk of the year. And so why don't we find a cool rock to remember the morning by? And so he then crouches down and he starts sifting through the rocks. That's what he's doing here. Well, getting ready to do there. And before we left, he had discovered, well, first I found a little white rock that I said, oh, it's a moonstone. And he goes, what's a moonstone? And I said, I don't know. That's an excellent question. What's a moonstone? He goes, I have no idea. I said, they're some of my favorite rocks. When Dad and I went on a vacation a few years ago for a few days, we snuck away. We stepped on this beach in Cambria, California, that has about 18 inches of amazing rocks. You step in and you immediately sink past your ankles. And I sat down and immediately got mesmerized by these stones, and I dug through them for hours. And later, talking to a local yokel, she shared with me about these moonstones. And so here we are down at the beach today, and we're looking through rocks and we find a moonstone, and then we finally settle in on, hey, let's commemorate our walk by picking green and white stones. And I said, I think the green is jade. And I think the white, you can't really tell in the picture because they're kind of green because of the way I took the picture, but they're green and white stones. And he's like, well, how do you know? I go, I don't know. You come down to the beach and you're walking by gemstones and you don't even know it. Wouldn't it be the coolest thing to learn about how to discover what we're looking at on the ocean or on the shore? And he's like, oh, that would be fantastic. And so I am here out sharing with you today because a friend of mine down where Bugs Bunny's friend was doing time, Tehachapi. I have a friend in Central California, and she's like, hey, do you have anything on how to homeschool middle schoolers? And I said, I don't think I have a specific middle school video, but if I find one, then I will share it with you. And so I haven't found a middle school, but this is coming to me as I am going through this with my own kids. The secret to teaching a middle schooler or a high schooler or a kindergartner is it's kind of the same thing. You know, you got to remember that now it's 2020. Like what? Our kids live in a world where you might say, hey, what's a moonstone? And they're going to pick up their smartphone and they're going to say, hey, Siri, or hey, Alexa, what's a moonstone? And then the computer robot is going to give them just an answer. That's not the education that my husband and I want our sons to get. You know, I have 5 sons and they age 14 to now, oh my gosh, almost 27. And we've been homeschooling over 20 years. And although technology is fantastic, or to use my favorite word, phantasmagoric, although it is fantastic, But that's not what we want. We want our kids to salivate when they hit something that they don't understand. It's like, well, what is a moonstone? My son is dying to do some research. He said, wouldn't it be really cool to figure out what these stones are on the beach and then to come explore, to make it a regular thing to come down to the beach to search for these stones? And I'm saying, yeah, that would be more than cool. So then I'm sitting there on the beach using the smartphone, and I found a site where how to identify beach stones. And I quickly just showed him, I said, there's all kinds of resources out there where we can learn how to identify these stones. And he's like, oh, I can't wait. And then he's like, oh, and you should even create like lessons that you can share with the homeschool community or with other teachers. I go, yeah, we could do that too, but let's just have fun looking at the rocks. And so anyway, I'm here because I wanted to give you the secret sauce. So I created a couple little slides to give you secret recipe for how to homeschool a middle schooler, a high schooler, or a kindergartner on this same walk. Oh my gosh, we walk by this little tyke. He might have been 2 if he was lucky. He had on his rubber boots and he was standing there with his grandpa. Okay, so here's this little guy I've never seen before, and he looks at us and he goes, hi, and he comes running straight to us. And we're like, hey, buddy, are you puddle jumping? And he's like, uh-huh. And then he pointed to the puddle. And I said, oh, stomp in that one. And he stomped in it. Another puddle. I go, oh, that's a deeper one. Stomp in that one. And here we stopped and we paused and we puddle jumped. Well, we watched him puddle jump for a few minutes. And then as he was getting ready, we had to keep going because we were trying to get to the beach. And he's like, come. He wanted us to come inside for tea. And I was sharing with my son after we had to leave this crying little 2-year-old who was heartbroken that these strangers wouldn't come in and have tea. I said, Sam, in life, while you're walking through life, everybody you meet, I go, oh, you need to be guarded because it's 2020. I said, but everyone you meet is a friend. Treat them just like that little guy treated you, delighting in what you're exploring and then inviting them to join you. I go, you need to do that. And then just like he did, whenever you can, invite them in for tea. And so here we are on this impromptu walk, heading towards the beach. We get this, hey, everybody. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Daniela. So here we are on this impromptu walk down to the beach. And first, we have a lesson in delighting in the world around us, as given to us by a 2-year-old. Oh my gosh, I loved it because he was pure joy. And then he teaches us a lesson in etiquette. Treat everyone you meet like a friend and invite them into your world, into your universe, and delight with them. And then we get to go to the beach, and then we get to see amazing, amazing God's creation. Trying to pull it back up. Amazing creation. And then we stumble upon this lesson of the rocks. So back to the secret sauce of how you teach a middle schooler or a high schooler. You stop. Mama, you are surrounded by curriculum. I know you are. You know how I know you are? Because I am. I have a stack of things that I think I need my kid to learn. Oh, I've got their math book, their science book, their history book, their writing curriculum, books that I'd love for them to read, life lessons I'd love for them to master before they graduate. But if I don't relax and take them outside and breathe and soak in all of this amazing creation around us, then I'm missing the mark. Because like you, our kids, my kids, our kids need to be excited to learn. And they're not going to be excited to learn. Imagine the same thing. So imagine for a second that what I want my son to do is, and I'm pulling up the pictures, what I want him to do is to learn how to identify rocks into the different categories: sedimentary, metamorphic, and igneous types of rocks. And I want him to learn the rock cycle, and I want him to learn about things like beach glass and gemstones and whatever, granite. And so the first thing I do is I hand him a blank piece of paper and a pencil. Can you just see the body language of that middle schooler? Like, oh, I don't want to do this. But imagine now that how excited is my son to learn about rocks, because we walked past the 2-year-old puddle jumping. We were friendly and kind, and that little guy was so excited. And then the day was so glorious, and we were so excited to pick up rocks. And then I asked the leading questions. There's a gal I know, Miss Marilyn, who always asked kids open-ended questions. And I learned from her back when my kids were little, when we were kind of benchmarked, or we were in a season at a charter school. And when I was at this charter school in Tehachapi, next to Bugs Bunny's, whoever that's doing time out in Tehachapi, I got to sit under and rub elbows with some amazing educators. And Marilyn always asked amazing questions. She never answered the questions that the kids would ask. Same walk today, same kid down at the ocean. On the way back, he looks at the trees. He's just amazed at the trees. And you would be too, because I live in Western Washington now, and the trees are fantastic. And he looks at the trees and he's like, wow, they're so pretty. He goes, Mom, does a tree have the same number of rings at the top of the tree than it does at the bottom of the tree? And like Marilyn, I said, what a great question. You're going to have to let me know what you discover about that. And he's like, huh. And then he's looking, he's like, it can't possibly be the same, because the tree is so skinny at the top and so big at the base. And I was able to say, Sam, I never think about questions like this. You have such an amazing mind. I can't wait to hear what you discover as you go into this. Mama, if you don't get outside, if you don't set the curriculum aside long enough to explore, your kids won't exhale long enough to say, well, what is a moonstone? How do you identify the rocks on the beach? Does a tree's rings, are they the same at the base and the top? These are natural discovery questions that come when you exhale, you get outside, or just relax into the surroundings that you're in, and you let life kind of melt away, and you let their natural curiosity bubble up to the top. So I want to give you some secret recipes. Let's go back to my slides. So the secret recipe for teaching kids of any age, but specifically those middle schoolers, those eye-rolling individuals that don't want to hold a pencil, but are super curious. They really are. They want to know. And the challenge that moms like me have, and that you may struggle with too, is that we want to give them all the answers, right? We want them to get the answers right. That's not the goal. The goal is to get them curious and get them excited to learn. So let me give you the secret recipe for middle school, high school, or kids of any age. Any age. Mama, relax. The curriculum, it's important to have a plan of what you want your kids to learn. Oh, Daniela, I love homeschooling. I'm staring down the end of homeschooling now. It's important that you have goals, that you know what you want your kids to learn. But it's more important that we relax, that we just breathe, and that we enjoy the world around us, and we get excited about learning right alongside with our kids. The next thing that we need to do is enjoy. We need to enjoy our life, our children, learning and exploring. We don't need to fill our life with a checklist of things to get done, because at the end of the day, you got to remember the kids are growing up in this world where everything is at their fingertips, but you can't learn from a device how to relax and enjoy life. And our kids need to see us relax and enjoy life. It's not about the check boxes. It's not about page 47 in any science book, history book, or math curriculum. It's really not. But when they're excited, then you can set them free on the tools and they will teach themselves in a way that is unbelievable. So relax, enjoy, listen. I'm at the beach. I'm with my kid. I'm a little sweaty and winded. And I'm looking around and I'm thinking, okay, I need to calm down a little bit. Let's look at the rocks. And then I'm listening to him get excited about anything, about where we are and what we're doing at that moment. What causes him to inhale sharply, kind of hold his breath, and then have that desire to do more. I'm listening for that everywhere we go. Our kids need us to listen. And then we follow their lead. We follow them, but taking a page out of the playbook from my friend Marilyn or my friend Miss Dragmanovich or Miss Rossander is that you lead them with your open-ended questions. The second I saw that my son was interested in the stones, then I started to ask questions like, gosh, how would you identify beach rocks? How can you tell which are gemstones and which are just regular rocks? I wonder what kinds of things we can do with these things that we find on the beach. And I'm asking these questions and I'm listening. Is he biting? It's like fishing. And fly fishing. My husband's been steelhead fishing, which is such a treat. And apparently it's not easy. And the trick to steelhead fishing is picking the correct lure. And so teaching our kids is like steelhead fishing. If they're not biting at the pencil and the piece of paper, if that's not causing them to be naturally curious and excited to learn, then we, the fisherwomen, the fishermen, the fisher people, need to switch our bait. We need to take them outside. We need to take them exploring. We need to open the books and get super excited. I remember when the Percy Jackson series first came out. By the second book, I think it was the second book, we were reading them aloud together. And on a whim, probably in the first chapter, I decided to look up because Rick Riordan, the author, writes about all these places all over the world and these artifacts and these things. And so whenever we would hit a new place or a thing in the story, we would pause and we would look it up online and we would do a virtual tour of whatever that is, be it Graceland or the statues in Central Park or any of these things. And it brought the story to life and wet the kids' whistles for learning in a way that wouldn't have happened if they had just read it on their own or if we read it and we didn't dive deeper. But the trick was watching and listening for what was making them more excited. So you can do the same thing with your kids. You can lead them in the way they should go, and you can show them different resources that will help them learn more. Okay, so the last thing that I want, let's see, let me pull this up and click. The last thing is I want to show you how this looks practically. So because it can be intimidating to break free from a curriculum. A curriculum's our safety net, right? We spent all this money on all this beautiful curriculum, or we have these lesson plans designed by teachers that we have allowed into our lives to help guide and direct us down the homeschooling path to success, which is good. I've done homeschooling every way that you can possibly do it, through a charter school, independently, writing my own curriculum, creating my own journey, buying boxed sets, you name it, I've done it. I've even been handed learning plans from educators that will tell me what to do on what days of the week and just follow their little map for as long as I could stand following their little map, and then I take the first rabbit trail that I can find. But I want you to know that this is not, these rabbit trails are not the things, this is what I call a rabbit trail. Studying beach rocks, stones, and gemstones was not on my radar until this morning. And so now I'm looking at it and going, ooh, He's super excited about this. He loves geology, so why not chase it down and see where we go? And so I now take a step back and I want to look at it from all the different arenas that I can look at it. Is there a way that I can let him lead, but can I find a math element that I can put into it? Can I find a writing element, a history, a science, an art, a food, a music? What is out there? What different ways can we touch these stones that will enrich his education? Trust me, as long as I don't say, hey, for school, we're going to study the stones on the beach, as long as I don't make that mistake, and I say, oh, look at this craft that I found, or, oh, look, I just found this poster on how to identify beach stones. As long as I am excited and presenting the information for him, he will take care of the chasing it down without me. He just will do it. So just today, we stepped on the beach, and these are the things that I've come up with so far today. So let me make it big screen. So the first thing is if I want him to learn about something, I will do with him a KWL chart. And my kids are very well acquainted. Let me do that. So a KWL chart, English is what I need help with, Teresa, on second grade. But see, you can take beach stones, and I want you to understand that subjects are school. Instead, well, let me show you a I'm going to come back to that in a second. A KWL chart is something like this. We do it on our whiteboard, which I have or the windows with a dry erase marker. They like that way, way better. Hey, Mona. What do they already know about the subject that they want to learn? This is freeing, because what it helps you do is skip 12 chapters in their science book or their math book or the lesson. You can skip past the introductory step. What do they already know? Because remember, kids don't like being bored. Neither do you. How many times do you want to be told the same thing? Once? Okay, now even God repeats himself. So it's okay to repeat yourself. But what do your kids already know? Then here's the magic right here. What do they want to know? When your kids know that they can fill up this column with information or tidbits or things that they want to learn, oh, this is super exciting. And we do this in one sitting, one day, and that's all we'll do is we'll talk about whatever the subject is. What do you already know? What do you want to know? And then we'll come back to it maybe a day later, and we'll circle the top 3 or 4 things. What are your top 3? And we'll identify those. And then, ladies and gentlemen, that is your plan. You chase your child's wants and dreams straight down they've designed their learning plan right there. So we always start our lessons with some rabbit trail with a KWL chart. That video record sheet is a pack of video. I wonder if I can open it and show you. Let me click in. It is a pack of video response sheets. Let me open up a different window so I can show you. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see, not that one. And let me show you, share the screen. And I want this one. I created these because as a homeschooler, you have the ability to dial into Netflix or YouTube or Discovery or anything and watch a learning video or documentary about anything under the sun, and you can learn more. So I created these movie response sheets so that my kids would have an open-ended way of recording what it is that they were learning. And so I really like those. So that's what that video recording sheet is. And let me pull back up the other one, share screen, and the sharing, that's the only problem with this one is I can't go back and forth. Okay, so a KWL chart, I have that video record sheet handy so that when we watch any videos on how to identify beach stones, what's a moonstone, precious gems that you can find at your local beach, where are the glass beaches around you, whatever those are. We have those sheets, they're open-ended, and the kids can draw pictures, add links, or anything that they want right there on those sheets. Then, and this is all stuff that I've come up with today, like, wow, if he's really interested in beach stones and gemstones, these are the things that we're going to do. We're going to do a KWL chart. We're going to watch some videos, and we're going to learn about how to find things on the beach. I found some links on identifying beach stones, some crafts that we can do. You can make jewelry or art, all kinds of fun stuff with the beautiful rocks that you find on the beach. And science, this is nothing. This is like the tip of the iceberg. But why are there round holes in some of the stones that you find on the beach? What is beach glass? How do you identify rocks? What are the different types of rocks? And so on. Just when you do that KWL chart with your kids, you're going to get so many ideas. And then history, you can dig in and you can find the history of things like glass beaches, riptides, currents. You can totally do a whole tide pool, ocean. It can spin into all kinds of stuff. So again, it all comes down to understanding that we have the secret recipe to teach our kids. We get to relax with them, to enjoy their company, and to enjoy the world around them. We get to listen and watch. What is it that makes their heart beat faster? What causes them to get super excited? And then we can follow their lead, follow their interest, and secretly lead them in the way we want them to go. So that's kind of what I was really heavy on my heart, is you really can teach a middle schooler, a high schooler, somebody that's rolling their eyes at the curriculum. You can teach them to be excited by walking away from the curriculum and then watching, making sure that the world of distractions kind of strips away, and then watch what makes them tick. And then once you find what makes them tick, you find that, let's say it's waterfalls. So you mentally, off by yourself, take waterfalls, let's go like that. And then you figure out, is there anything that we can do with waterfalls? Let me pull up a page and I'll show you what I would let my brain do. Let me put waterfall, let's see. Waterfall lessons. Let's do history. So from here, you take waterfalls. Sorry, let me pull the window up. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I lied. So there we go. Deal with it. Okay, so there we've got, you can then start to go, okay, history. You can learn about the history of some of the waterfalls. My family and I took a vacation down in Oregon, and we followed part of the Lewis and Clark Trail, and we were able to see Multnomah Falls. You can Google it. It's fantastic. And there's actually this whole trail of all of these waterfalls along the way. We went on another vacation down to another place in Oregon, and there was this whole line of waterfalls in a row over the course of a few miles, maybe 10, 15 miles. And so we stopped at all the waterfalls and were dumbfounded that some of the waterfalls were just gorgeous and beautiful. And then there was this one waterfall that the second you stepped out of the car, you were attacked by seal-trained mosquitoes that would not let you be. It was fantastic. So you take the subject, and when your kids aren't looking, now you go through and you go, okay, can I find any history lessons? Can I find a science feature? I hope you can read my writing. Can you find a science feature? Ooh, I know this one. If you've got kids, specifically boys, you try to find a way to incorporate food in absolutely every way possible. Think of the rocks today. Did you know they make candy rocks? Oh, they do. And you know where I know they are? They're at the local yogurt shop. So we can go to the local yogurt shop. We can get some yogurt. We can sprinkle some candy rocks on top of our yogurt, and we can continue our beach. So now we're eating a treat. Food. You want to incorporate food. You also want to try to incorporate the arts in any way, shape, or form. So you're going to want to look, is there an art element that you can add. And art can be masterpieces that you can watch. It can be things that you can create, etc. So it can be exhibits that you can visit at the local museum or a local store. So you want to go through all of your subjects. You also want, hey, is there any way that we can move around? I'm going to write a couple things down. Is there any way so you can incorporate PE? You got to know the beach that my son and I went to was 2 miles away from our house. So that was an over 4-mile walk that we went on to go explore the beach. So that knocked out some of our physical activity for the day. Are there any math activities that you can do? There's a bazillion of them. So you can look up math. Oh, and my favorite is writing. Because I'm a writer and we live in a house of writers. So is there anything that we can do writing? Don't make this mistake. Don't go hand your child a piece of paper and a pencil and ask them to write about everything that they know about beach stones or beach glass or moonstones. Don't do that. Mm-mm. You go to experience first. You go to the beach. You go look at the thing. You watch for them to get excited. And then you plot out this master plan to take them through the writing process. You can mentally think, okay, I think that this would make an excellent poem or an excellent writing prompt. And so you can say, after a week or two, I want my child to have fill in the blank. Say, write a short story about an adventure down at the ocean. So you go to the ocean, you look at the stones. The next day, you do a KWL chart. The next day, you watch a video. The next day, you watch another video. The next day, you go to the museum or you go to the yogurt shop. And this whole time you're talking about, oh, I was reading, I found these books at the library. I read this article online. Look, this is how you can identify moonstones. Can we go down to the beach and see if we can find 3? And then you stir up this excitement. And then you do brainstorming on a piece of paper, a window, or a whiteboard with a dry erase marker. Hey, what kinds of things could happen at the beach? What if we stepped on the beach today and the craziest thing on the planet happened? What would that be? And then just creative brainstorming. You be the secretary, you write it down. And then over the course of a week or 2, you help them get super excited about everything that they're learning, fill their brain with the vocabulary and the experiences that they need. And then you sit them down to start to learn to write or to actually write whatever it is your end result is. Maybe it's a letter to grandma to tell them everything that they've learned about beach stones or sea glass. Maybe it is a letter to a soldier overseas. Hey, let's write to somebody that we know that's serving or a stranger that's serving. Maybe it is a recipe for how to find beach stones or moonstones. Maybe it is a short story. I was walking down the beach with my mom, exploring and feeling the breeze go through my hair, and I was hearing the crunch of the stones when all of a sudden, and then they finished the story. Just be creative. And at the end of the day, if you have relaxed and enjoyed and listened and followed your child and fed them information and questions and did your best to find at least a few of the different learning categories that you can learn about something, when they're teenagers, when they're an adult, they're going to be an excited learner. And mom, dad, homeschooler, what else do we want? We want our kids to not just say, hey Siri, what's a moonstone? Oh, okay. And then be done. Instead, we want them to be explorers and inventors and creators and designers and people that have conversations, people that share with excitement, right? So anyway, that's kind of it. This is Becky with A Better Way to Homeschool. You can find me at abetterwaytohomeschool.com. I do have a YouTube channel where I do videos. I do have a secret, not so secret homeschool huddle for moms where I share these kinds of ideas and tips and a membership group, but it only costs about the cost of a cup of coffee a month. And I think that's it. So I'd love to hear from you, would love to hear your ideas, and I hope you have a wonderful day with that middle schooler, that homeschooler, or any of the learners in your house. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.